So on the first late filed matter, characteristically late filed, I would like to invite up the Mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, City Council. And thank you, guests that are here today for all the business. I requested to come over and just say a couple words about my friend, Billy Linehan. Thank him, first of all, for his service to the Boston City Council. Thank you, Billy, for what you've done, the agenda that you've been able to push here at the City Council. 4 years ago, when I got elected mayor of Boston, I gave my farewell speech in the House of Representatives. And for me, that day was a sad day, bittersweet day. I was excited about being sworn in as mayor of Boston a couple days after that. But I understood that when I got elected to the House of Representatives, as if many of you, when you got elected, it's the closest you'll ever be to the people. Because you go to the civic meetings and you're in people's kitchens and you're in their living rooms and you hear about the happiness in their life and you hear about the sadness in their life. And for over 30 years, Billy Linehan, in one shape or form or another, has done that in the communities of South Boston first. And then when he worked for the different administrations, he was working throughout the entire city of Boston. And I have a dear friend of mine from Mission Hill, Kevin Fitzgerald, and he would talk about the days that Billy Linehan and Fitzy, in working on taking the kids from Mission Hill to South Boston and the kids from South Boston to Mission Hill during the times of busing, when the city was being torn apart, and how they were trying to work together to bring those two communities together. That's a story Billy Linehan doesn't talk about. He doesn't talk about that type of work. And it's an honor for me to be here today to thank Billy for his years of service. And we're also joined in this chamber today by, he might have been mentioned already, I'll just introduce him again, former Mayor and Ambassador Ray Flynn is here with us. Thank you, Mayor Flynn. State Representative and Billy's representative, Nick Collins, is here. A colleague of Billy's for a long time, and now the registrar, Steve Murphy's here. Just a couple quick highlights. Billy is a lifelong South Boston resident, served on the City Council since 2007, was elected president of this body, and I have to thank him for his presidency because it was my first year as mayor. And we started a tradition that we've kept on with the current president to sit down and have meetings either weekly or bi-weekly to talk about the importance of the relationship between the council and the mayor's office and how we move our agendas forward, how we move our city forward. I want to thank you, Billy, for that. I want to thank you for your work on economic development and planning in the City Council. I want to thank you for your work on redistricting in the City Council. I want to thank you for your work on the South Boston waterfront to make sure that we continue to work to make sure the South Boston waterfront is an area of development that's an inclusive area of our city. Billy was the director of the Parks Department, in case you didn't know. He was a special assistant to the chief operating officer, and he's always been a committed public servant to his community. So, Billy, I am here today on behalf of the citizens of the city of Boston to thank you for your service with gratitude and appreciation. Wish you good luck in all of your future endeavors. And we have to give you, I want to present you with a Paul Revere Ball on behalf of the entire city of Boston, including all of your colleagues here today, presented to William Linehan on behalf of the citizens of Boston and the Boston City Council and the Mayor's office, with gratitude for many years of dedicated service to our city, October 2017. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah, if all colleagues could come up, we'll take a photo with Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mayor Walsh, for joining us and helping us celebrate our colleague. Thank you, Councilor Flaherty, for pointing out. We're also joined by Senator Joe Boncory. Thank you so much. And now, District 2 City Councilor Bill Linehan, you have the floor.
Wow. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the honor and for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come here and present me with a Paul Revere Bowl. I can remember 4 years ago almost where that same embrace occurred. It was the same day that the mayor became mayor and I became president of the Boston City Council. And having known Marty for 25 years, it was a very special moment, and this is also one of those times. I want to acknowledge that we're in such a beautiful space here today. It wasn't always like this, and I want to congratulate Madam President for this work on behalf of all of us, and also for the work that she did. You know, because today is my end to public service. 43 years in public service. I had great jobs. I worked with great people. We achieved some truly significant things. And first, I want to say thank you to all of you, every single one of you here, all of you over the years who have supported me in whatever I've done. I want to thank you, my colleagues here on the council, for the friendship, for the banter, for the debate, for the interaction, and for all the work that we do here on the council. I want to thank those of my colleagues in the state and federal government who I've worked with. It's an honor to be an elected official, and it's truly an honor to work with all of you who are such formidable elected officials on behalf of the people. I want to thank Ray. He gave me my first city job here back in 87. That's right, Sal knows it's 87 because he got one too. And I want to thank the staff, my staff, specifically James and Lisa, Lauren, John Mahoney, Jack Kelly, and those that are here from before, Dave, Nagel, Elaine, and John Ulrich. They're here. Thank you so much for making me look good every day. And I want to thank the central staff, because when you're president of this body, you get to know and work with each one individually, the central staff. And so I want to thank Julie, you lady, Kerry and Lorraine. I want to make sure I thank Christine and Kate and Juan and Ron and Cora and Candace, Michelle, and Daisy, because you make every one of us look great. You allow us to be who we are. And we wouldn't be here if people didn't work on our behalf, who didn't volunteer or work on a campaign. None of us would be here. They enabled us to be here. And so I would, my former chief of staff and treasurer of my campaign and sidekick since high school, I want to recognize Dave Nagel. And then my daughter, Kristen, my oldest girl, who led our campaign for the past 6 or 7 years. Kristen. It's hard to believe that it was in September of 1972 I got a state job at UMass Boston. I was a dock worker. Prior to that, the only private sector job I ever had, I was a blue shirt, like the cleaners that are here doing our office at night. It's been a long and fortuitous journey, of which I'm so grateful. Sal said I can cry, but I'm not. He's cried earlier. Only one person has been with me the entire way. While hundreds of people have helped me over the years, she's been there virtually every day. She's my partner, enabled me to do the work that I do, the fun that I had and have. This Friday, my wife and I celebrate our 45th wedding anniversary. I'm so grateful that, and none of it could have occurred without her. None of it. So, Judy, thank you. Thanks for putting up with me. I want to recognize my other children who are here, Brendan and Sean, my identical twin boys, who I know Sean was here earlier. He might have had to get back to work. And I also want to recognize the baby of the family, Brooke. Is she still here? She had to go back to work, this institution is very important. It's, don't let anyone dismiss the value of this elected body. It's important to the people of Boston. I've had many memorable days in this chamber. Getting sworn in 10 years ago by Mayor Menino, debating with many of you on the floor, competing, challenging one another. I remember the fire contract dispute. We were in here for almost 2 days. And I want to recognize Commissioner Finn for being here today. The day that Mayor Walsh swore me in here as and you elected me to be president. I want to thank all the folks in his administration. So upon reflection, it's important that we each remind ourselves how we got here today and recognize the people and the efforts that came before us, because that's what we stand on. To all those I've served with in the past, and to all those who served before me, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to Steve Murphy for his presidency and his friendship all those years. And I want to thank the people who taught me the importance of politics at a very young age. I was like 15. And, of course, my dad, Gramps, and Nana, who made it all possible. I'm very grateful. My mom said back in the day, Bill, when you go somewhere, make sure the place is in better shape than when you first found it. So I hope I did. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, please. Thank you. Is it appropriate now to, okay, it's a council tradition to say goodbye to each member of the sitting council at the time. So, which is rarely the case, I'm going to start with Councilor Zakim. The Z. Councilor Zakim, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for working through things. Thanks for always giving me a heads up, regardless of what position you had taken on a particular matter. You have a family legacy in the city, and it's a very big one. Your dad was a legend in human rights. You are doing a grand job in trying to move that agenda forward. And at the same time, today, you sounded somewhat like me, worrying about traffic and road races and So you are growing in the job. And I thank you. I thank you and goodbye. Only for today. I'm sure I'll be around, to all of you. I say goodbye as a city council. Ayanna, thank you for your insight, especially around issues related to women and girls. And as we all know, none of us guys would be anything without the great women in our life. And you are clearly have been the most eloquent city councilor during my tenure here on the Boston City Council. You have passion and you have an ability to relate to all of us when you speak on something. So thank you for that. Thank you so much. Matt, you're the green man. I feel very strongly on energy efficiencies and carbon footprint, but you've taken that mantra from John Conley and taken it to a great place. You have great skills in this business. When you walk, you list a little too much to the left. I'd like to see you a little more centered. Your father said to me the day that you got sworn in, I had to keep an eye on you. That was not easy. But no, you've done a great job, and you're a true benefit for the council, and I wish you the best. So Timmy, I knew him when he was barely a little bit more than a teenager. We worked on the Red Shirt program together. We worked at Parks together. We worked at DPW. We worked in so many ways. He is one of the great benefits of this particular body is that people who have worked in the government for 10, 15, 20 years end up getting elected through their efforts and their commitment to individual citizens, and Tim has done that. So I want to thank Tim for all his friendship. I think he's the only member that golfs on the, right?
You.
Besides me. No, besides me, who golfs. So I think I'll see him somewhere on the golf course, surely not in an election year, but you're a formidable city councilor, and this body needs you, so thank you. Sal, you're doing good. You haven't cried yet. Ditto for Sal on the years of service to the city. This body, when Sal leaves, it will completely change every single seat in 11 years. And contrary to what people say, the old and the new and the young and the lefties and the righties and all that sort of stuff, it changes by itself based on the work and the needs and the intentions of the members and the people who want to get elected. And it's going to change dramatically next time, all for the better. Because the people know. You don't get elected and reelected if the people don't know. So Sal, you've been a dear friend, and I was going to call you my Goomba, but I'm going to save that for Siomo. Sal, transportation, me at Parks, we've worked with each other for 30 years. I hope we continue to work together when we leave here, and I think we will. So,
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Tito Jackson. Tito, you have a great way of advocating for those people who really don't get a voice. And that's needed all the time, so that when we sit up here at the City on a Hill, we think about how we got here. And I think that you represent your district in a very unique way, advocating for not only the people of the district, but the people like those. And I enjoyed your company many times. First time I met Tito was when he ran for city council at large, and we had a dance-off. I won.
Misremembering.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it wasn't Irish dance. Motown, that's right. Thank you for that. That was a great moment. We went to the Motown show on Washington Street at the old Paramount, right? And Diana Ross, the woman who was playing her, which we had here in the city council, just happened to invite me up to sing a song with her. So it was a great moment. Thank you, Tito, for that. Michael Flaherty, my first foray into politics was in like 66, if you can believe that. None of you were born. Well, maybe Siomo was, but I know Murphy was. But Councilor Flaherty, I've known him since conception, if you can believe that. His mother was pregnant with him in his father's second campaign. And I've watched him develop over the years. His dad was a close friend. He inspired me. And Councilor Flaherty's done an extraordinary job of being someone who's looking out for the entire city and its well-being. He's had a leadership role as president, and he used it well on behalf of the citizens of Boston. He will have a continued long career in politics, and I want to thank him and his family, his dad and his deceased mom, for all their friendship and support. Thank you, Michael. Anissa, she was the head of the Civic Association when I first met her, and she'd be barking at me about not doing this and not doing that. We opened up her yarn shop on Dorchester Avenue, ribbon cutting, and she was one of the mistresses of the Polish Triangle and made sure that people paid attention, you know, and they did. It's great to have a teacher on the Boston City Council, and I lay off on you all of this stuff on addiction and hope that you and Councilor Baker will continue to work for those people who struggle in our city, in our Commonwealth, and in our nation every single day, and all of us who struggle with them. Thank you. My Goomba. I say this just to tick Sal off. No. They're sidekicks. They're dear friends of mine. We've spent meatloaf specials together. That's an inside joke. Mark has been the stalwart of the Boston City Council for virtually my entire tenure as the chair of Ways and Means. He's watched the nickels, the dimes, the pennies, and the billions. And he's done an extraordinary job, makes each and one of us, our lives easier by all the work that he does in those 3 months leading up to the budget. So thank you, Mark. Andrea, I can honestly say you're a breath of fresh air. You have an extraordinary potential here in the city of Boston as an elected leader, and I see you as a great district city councilor. And that, you know, I know there's the at-large and there's the district, but it's kind of a little group within the group, and district city councilors have a certain place, and Mattapan and Dorchester will do very well with you as their leader, and I hope that lasts as long as you want it to. Thank you. And Frank, I remember in the print shop, I'd go over there and say, I got to get this printed, whether it was for this mayor, that mayor, or this department or that man. That was before either one of us were elected. You inspired me by your effort during your campaign to knock on every door in Dorchester so people would give you a chance. As I said, the voter never fails. In the end, they picked the right person. You just were in front of every single one of them, so they would get to know that. When you speak in this body, which isn't that often, everybody listens. So thank you for your friendship, your support as a counselor, and your family support over the years. Before I go to the president, Madam Clerk, you were my president. You were my first president. thank you so much. Thank you for everything you did. You know, Alex, thank you for what you guys do every day. And the clerk's a very busy place that nobody really knows about unless they need it. And Ellen, I hope you're not writing everything I'm saying down. But thank you all. And Michelle, you know, I'm truly take pride in your being elected as president of this body, and I do, and your leadership since being elected. It is, it's one thing to be an Irish Catholic guy from Southie to get elected to the council and then to president. There's been a bunch of them before that. But there have been few women, and there's been no Asians, and you are that. So your work, you have a great career in this business. Please keep it up, and thank you for your service and your leadership. Is that enough? No, thank you very much. Thank each and every one of you for all you've done for me over the years. I'm very proud. My family's proud. And I will see you again. I know that, somewhere, somehow. All right? Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to try to do it in the order that I see folks. Councilor LaMattina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted earlier to get up and rise to make a motion to decline his resignation. Excuse me, I have a bad cold. But I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, Bill, and to your wife. 30 years working together as a city. And thank the mayor for giving us this opportunity to serve the great people of this city. You have made my life so much better since you joined the council 10 years ago. It's funny being from East Boston and South Boston. In the 70s, we were supposed to hate each other, and they were Irish and we were Italians, but we became really, really close and good friends. You serve your people well. You can go here, leave here today knowing that South Boston, your district, is a better place because of the work that you did in this body. So thank you and congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor LaMattina. Councilor Baker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Billy, I just want to thank you for being my friend. We probably grew up similar, large families, music, fighting, all that stuff. Ray gave me my job in '86, so there you go. I want to thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank you. He was my mayor. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for always being straight to me and for me. Just recently, I had a matter that was in front of me, and it was really sticky, and probably talked to 100 people on it. You gave me the best advice, bar none, the best advice. I didn't even tell you that. I'm telling you that now. Thank you for that. And during redistricting, I want to thank you for giving me Southampton Street, too. So,
Thank you, Councilor Baker. Councilor O'Malley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Bill, what can I say other than it's been an honor to be your colleague. We haven't always agreed on everything, but when we disagreed, we would both passionately make our points, and then we'd shake hands. And we disagreed without ever being disagreeable, which unfortunately is a rarity in this business more and more. There was a great moment that I really appreciated with you, which I don't even know if you remember this, but it was probably my first month on the council when there was the Vertex groundbreaking right down the street. And I was your vice chair of economic development and planning. I went down, you went down, another colleague who shall remain nameless went down, and he left early, and he was your ride, so I drove you home. And or I drove you back here, you know, it's a mile down the road. But from that, you know, you gave me a master class on the South Boston waterfront. First, you made sure that I said it that way, the South Boston waterfront, and just talked about development, what you had seen I really appreciated that. I appreciated so much just your perspective on things and what you had achieved and what you had hoped to achieve, that I went the long way back. I pretended that I missed the exit back to the hall because I just wanted to have more time to learn more from you. So really appreciate everything. To you and to Judy and your incredible family, enjoy this retirement. I know we'll see a lot of you in the years ahead, and all the best, Bill.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Campbell, you have the floor.
I told you not to cry. I'm like, I might cry. I just wanted to say thank you. You know, born and raised in the city of Boston, with a father who was born and raised in the city of Boston. You know, there's a history in this city. And it reminds me of something that my father used to always sort of say to us, which is, you always take a person as they present to you, not by what you hear in the media or from other folks. In the short period on the council, I've gotten to know you and to value your friendship, but also your ability to bring people together. People don't often see that side of you, maybe publicly, but I learned a great deal in partnering on some of the work with you, including, you know, stuff related to public safety. I admire you. I've learned a lot from you. I will miss you and your institutional knowledge. I also appreciated when I presented on issues related to criminal justice that you got personal with some of that stuff and really made it clear to everyone that these issues affect everybody, regardless of the neighborhood you're from, regardless of your race, your gender, and I appreciated that too. I know I'll stay in touch with you. I'm looking forward to the lunch. The family is taken care of, the baby is taken care of, so thank you for setting this up. It will be my first outing, but congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for your service. Thank you to your family. It really does take a family effort to do this work. It's not easy work. Someone told me, you know, welcome to the arena, but thank you for not making it feel like an arena. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell. Councilor Siomo, you have the floor.
I also got my first job from Ray Flynn in 1987, youth outreach worker at the Jackson Mint. Look what you did to me, Ray. No, all kidding aside, that's funny how a lot of us are. So, Bill, you're making it official after today. I'll be the oldest on this body now. And when I came in almost 10 years ago, I was in the middle of the pack. So thanks a lot. You know, I'll never forget your election. We didn't know each other. It was March, I think, '07, special election. And I remember watching you getting elected, didn't know you, but saw the incident with your son, and just my heart and my wife were like beside ourselves because we saw the happiness, your family, you, and then the tragedy. Thank God your son is fine, and you've gone on to finish out a great public service career. And I just want to thank you because when I came here, I think like many of us, it's like, what the hell did I do? You know, the awesome responsibility that you feel in this job and the support you need from your wives, your spouse, your children. Judy, he married up. Like, but I did too. But, you know, just your friendship, your support, this is not goodbye, it's see you around. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Councilor Siomo. Councilor Zakhem, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Counselor, thank you for your friendship. You know, it's only been, I guess, 4 years now, really, since we got to first meet when I came on this body. Your guidance as president in my first term, align myself somewhat with Matt's comments. We did not always see eye to eye on every issue, but I do think there was never a moment when I felt that we couldn't, you know, go to lunch together, or we weren't going to say hi to each other in the hallway, or that we couldn't work together on the next issue, or the next piece of legislation, or the next matter before this council. You certainly, I think, showed us what an important role the City Council can have in the City of Boston. I want to thank you for your vocal and unabashed defense of this body when you were president and the membership here. I think that certainly made a difference for me as a new member in your years of experience. And I also want to thank you, although I don't know if it was meant as a benefit at the time, but for assigning me as chair of the Committee on Civil Rights, our first term. I think maintaining that committee and allowing us to really run with it and have the hearings that we wanted to have and working on the Boston Trust Act in that time was incredibly important. And I think it's made a real difference in the city of Boston. That wouldn't have been able to happen without that assignment from you when you were first council president, when I first came on. And like everyone else here, I expect to see more of you. I expect to see have some good times, but also I know you have a lot more to contribute to the city of Boston and the people you've represented over the years. And entering 4 years of service here and compare it to the 30 plus, I know you were a lot older than me. I didn't know how much older, but really congratulations, and to your family as well. Really congratulations. I've only been married a little less than a year, but I know how much now a burden this job can sometimes be on the family, and I know they've been with you every step of the way, and we obviously can't do it without our support system at home. So congratulations, and look forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you, Councilor Zakhem. Councilor Presley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I will honor your wishes, and I'm reminded of Franklin Roosevelt, who said, when addressing a room, you should be brief, be sincere, and be seated. So I will attempt to do that. I just wanted to say, Billy, I respect and admire your conviction, how resolute you are, how unflappable you are and steadfast in your principles and your beliefs. You are unapologetically parochial on behalf of your district. You have been tireless on behalf of those battling addiction and in the restoration of the Boston Cadet Program. Those are two legacies, undeniably yours, you should certainly feel proud of. And I really appreciate that you've never been coy or nuanced about where you stand. That says a lot about your integrity and that you are not afraid to be forthright about what you believe. And I respect and admire that. I also just want to say that in all that grit and in all that toughness and all that conviction, that I do appreciate seeing when your eyes soften, whenever you talk about your family. You have been a loving and faithful son and brother and husband and father. And I will miss your singing. And it does remind me of our talent show together. And so I won't wish you luck. I'm going to wish you joy, because I think that's much more filling and much more enduring. And in tribute to the song that we performed together, I will release you now so you can dance in the streets. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Councilor McCarthy, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you, Mayor Flynn. January 20th, 1993. Report to room 708. You'll figure it out, I believe was the quote. Thank you very much. Billy, you're a great friend. You had an awesome career. Proud to be your friend. I'll see you on the first tee box.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I also want to thank Mayor Flynn for my first job. 1989. Actually, I'm sorry, it was the summer of 1990 at the Tobin Community Center as a peer leader. And I was in the Mayor's Youth Leadership Corps twice. I think they made me do it again. You know what, Bill? I think many people would make assumptions about you and I's relationship. And I think most people would be wrong. That we have had some really great times together. We have definitely not always been on the same side of issues. But I think we both came at it with the same passion and conviction. And I just simply want to say, I want to thank you for, as young people would say, keeping it 100. You keep it real all the time. There are not surprises with you. I've never been blindsided by what you've put forward. And by the way, I've understood where you've come from. I want to thank you I want to thank your family for sharing you with us, because when you're with us, you're not with them. And I think a lot of times people don't understand what this job means, how all-encompassing this job is, and to do it for as long as you've done it. And you don't have to be elected official to get constituency complaints for all of that time. I want to thank you for one vote in particular. I also want to thank Councilor Murphy and Councilor LaMartina, and we had discussions about this. I want to thank you for your vote on the Commission on the Status of Black and Latino Men. We live in a city where outcomes are not the same, and I want to thank you for stepping up on that issue and the unanimous vote that we were able to receive here. And I also want to thank you for taking me up on going to the Motown show. And, you know, they basically said, hey, your name's Tito Jackson, come up and say, no, no, no. But you got to go up and be the voice of the council. And I close with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that I think is appropriate. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Bill, I want to thank you for warmly welcoming me to the council, and I certainly appreciate the friendship we've been able to cultivate and develop over these last 22 plus months or so. I know, and I think we all know, I wasn't the person that you wanted here. That, I know. That's for the barking comment. But you still took the time to teach me and to work with me and to talk to me about the work that lied ahead of me just before I became a city councilor and just after I took office. And I really appreciate the help that you've given me to get to the work that I do every day. You were once my city councilor, and perhaps it was all of that barking that helped you redistrict me into Frank's district.
Good job again, Billy.
And I wonder sometimes if, you know, you being a Southie kid, if I was just a little too Dorchester for you. But this Dorchester girl appreciates the friendship that we do have and all of the help that you've given me and the experience and the words of wisdom that you've been able to share with me. And please know that you know, we'll have this Dorchester Southie Beer Summit that we've talked about. And I so look forward to, not the frank conversation, because you've had nothing but frank conversations with me all of this time, but I look forward to having that with you sort of off the clock. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sabi George. Councillor Flaherty, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The Flahertys and the Linehans literally go back 100 years. Just starting to do the math here. So on behalf of the entire Flaherty family, my dad, of course, my mom and brother and sister, but the extended family, all the aunts, uncles, and cousins, with your entire family, your mom and dad, your grandparents, your brothers and sisters, they're all intertwined. I know that Ray Flynn is still here. I know there was a hotly contested race between the Flahertys and the Flynns back in the day. I think the Linehans helped put the Flahertys over the top, which then led to Ray coming to this body on the council and becoming the mayor of the city and then the ambassador, and then a round of applause for our late Mayor Flynn right here for all that great work you've done. So it really started with some of the political work and those relationships that grew to uncles and brothers all working together. So on behalf of the Flaherty family, just want to, with much love and appreciation and respect, wish you the very best for your future endeavors and also for your entire family. On behalf of the South Boston delegation, that's Congressman Lynch. We had a meeting today. Congressman Lynch, former Senator Jack Hart, current Senator Linda Forey, State Representative Nick Collins, also former Senator Brian Walsh, all extend their best wishes as well. It's been a pleasure to work with you. I'm watching the video. He's like a nut. He's all over the place. He's all over District 2, and It just goes to show that the work that you've done on behalf of our seniors, the work that you've done on behalf of our veterans, the work that you've done on behalf of our youth, not just in, and I think you sort of, a lot of times I think you were misunderstood. You know, it was referenced that, you know, some of your parochial passions, but you really sort of had a city-wide perspective on just about everything because of your experiences, your personal experiences, your professional. You've seen the worst of Boston and you've seen the best of Boston. You've had those experiences, and so you'd be able to bring that to the table anytime we've met. And so whether you're sort of a young hard charger or sort of more on the seasoned side, you've sort of had that sort of sage advice and wisdom around because you've either seen it before or you've seen someone else do it before. But it was that type of experience that everyone was able to sort of draw from you in elective office. And that's, I speak for the entire delegation when I speak of that. And also from our own community, the neighborhood that you love so much and the neighborhood that loves you so much, the work that you've put in through your entire life, not just your career in public service, but not just you, but the entire Linehan family and what they mean to South Boston and how much South Boston appreciates all of the Linehans. You're just one component of a larger process, and you're blessed to have that family with you, your immediate family, your extended family. But if you go up and down all the streets of the neighborhoods, there's a Linehan living just about somewhere, and if they're not a Linehan, they married a Linehan, or if they're not married, they're related to a Linehan. So, and that's a big part of sort of who you are and that sense of community which you bring here, and you represent the entire district. You're as loved and revered in Chinatown and Bay Village in the South End for your work ethic, for your commitment, for your passion, for your experience, and for the fact that you woke up every day looking to, like we all do, looking forward to helping people. And that's a big part of this job. And so our hope is that you get sort of your just reward and allow yourself to spend more time with your family. I want to thank the Linehan family for giving you to us and for giving you to the city of Boston, not just for your service to South Boston and to District 2, but for every nook and cranny of this great city we call Boston. And then finally, recognizing obviously that we've got this collective and shared experience here as elected leaders to know that you always knew where you stood, and if you were with you could commit to someone, look them right in the eye, and your handshake meant something. If you weren't with them, it was pretty straightforward, and you weren't afraid of criticism. This body, quite frankly, has benefited from you not fearing criticism. That's part of the job. Former City Councilor John Tobin used to say, sort of, you know, groans and grunts and boos are kind of like hugs in our business, right? No one's really had the opportunity to say thank you for the work you've done on this body as a District 2 City Council, but also as our Council President, taking some of those punches on behalf of this body. So I just want to say on behalf of everyone, we're grateful for that service. We're going to continue to look for you and to lean on you for that type of experience that you have as you start this new chapter. Again, from the Flahertys, we love you, we thank you, and we wish you all the best. Right.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Bill, I reserve for myself the privilege of giving the last words because I count myself extremely lucky to have caught the tail end of your 43 years in public service to the city. I knew you first as my district city councilor when I was still living in the South End, and then later benefited as a colleague and I now say family friend. Have so enjoyed getting to know Judy and all the kids and seeing them and how much of you comes from the love that they give you is so evident every time I get to speak with them and every time that you all are together. You know, some of the words that I was thinking of that kind of capture your approach and your service have already been thrown out and reinforced many times: steadfast, principled, family focus. I want to add one more to that list, which is impact. You have presided over and you have led discussions for this city over some of the most complicated, contentious, and heated issues that Boston has had to confront in our modern history. Conversations about redistricting, about the Olympics, about development, and in this current boom for Boston, what that means for neighborhoods, for the economics of it all. You've always been fair in those conversations. You've always been upfront. And I think we've all benefited from your focus on the recovery community and what we could be doing, taking every possible step as a city to address this crisis that frankly we don't talk about or notice often enough. And we'll make sure to carry on those legacies that you have started. In my role as council president now, people say to you about being a parent, you never quite know until you're there. It's the same thing about council president, you never quite know until you're there how much work I know now that you put into meeting with each and every member of central staff, to understanding the role, understanding all of the pieces that are completely behind the scenes and under the radar to running this institution and protecting it, uplifting the reputation of the council and defending the work that we do in this chamber, in our offices across the city every single day. I know now how much you put into that and how much we have benefited from your advocacy, quiet and mostly behind the scenes on that front. You have been transparent always. You've always made time. And I think similar to Matt, some of my favorite moments are just in those kind of casual conversations that we happen to have. Often it was because I didn't have a car, and so as your constituent, I don't know if you're trying to earn my vote or what, you would drop me off at my house, or you would give me a ride from this event back to City Hall, or sometimes just kind of catching up in the hallway. And in those moments, the roles that you play, the roles that I think that I would guess that you hold most important in how you think of yourself, really come to the forefront. You being a dad, you being a husband, you being a public servant. And I still, I can remember different conversations we've had driving around the city or sitting in City Hall, past Copley Square, and you telling me about what it's like to be a parent, and that time you took Brooke to a Parks Department event in Copley Square, or by Franklin Park, and how you used to bike to Franklin Park from the neighborhood when you were younger, and what that meant to cross the city, and all the work that you had put in directly to making sure Franklin Park was accessible and valued for kids of all backgrounds across the city. As a runner, I know you have a passion for not just running for office, but running and being out in the neighborhoods. Hearing, again, like Matt, how you have seen the Seaport and the South Boston waterfront change from your times just growing up and as a young man running there and continuing to do that now. And all of that, again, tracing back to your leadership and your impact on development in the city and how it has shaped neighborhoods. I hope that my wish is that we will see you often, that you will continue to traverse the city on running and staying fit, but also driving around. Hopefully you might, when you're in the private sector, have a different approach to your car. I always tease Bill about his vehicle. Maybe you can consider getting an electric vehicle. We'll work on that. That I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have shaped me forever in terms of how I think about politics, about public service, about people. And I know I'm far from the only one who can say that. So thank you, Bill. And now it's my honor to present former council president Bill Linehan with, as tradition, the crystal gavel that we give to departing council presidents. So if you could please join me up here.
Thank you. I hope that you're as hungry as I am. Okay, sure.
So we've reached the end of our meeting. I'm going to ask President Linehan to stay up here with me so that he can gavel close his last meeting. And if everyone could please remain standing. We'd like to ask all guests and members to observe this meeting in memoriam, and we will adjourn in memory of these individuals. For Councilor Campbell, Ella Everett. For Councilor Siomo, Carol Ann Mark, Michael T. Michael, John B. McNamara, Pauline L. O'Connor, Benedetto Persicchini. For Councilor Sabi George, Donna Marie Fitzgerald, Joyce Necco. For Councilor Flaherty, John Albertson. For Councilor LaMattina, James F. Jimmy Gallagher, Richard Richie Giovanniello, Eileen A. Locke, Joseph J. Picardi. For Councilors LaMattina, Flaherty, and Linehan, Carl Sutera. For Councilor O'Malley, Robert F. Clark, Donald Flynn, Gary Greenwood, Margaret Jean Kaiser, Nancy Ryan, and John T. Sweeney. For Councilors Asabi George and Presley, Bertram Elaine. For Councilors Acom, Irving P. Stallings. For Councilors McCarthy and O'Malley, Kathleen Keogh, mother of Marty Keogh. And for Councilors Asabi George, Flaherty, and Linehan, Billy Joe Ryan. A moment of silence, please. Thank you.
The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so, oh, we already did that part. Right? Oh, yeah.
A little rusty.
I am rusty. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals. It is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, October 25th, 2017, at noon in the Ianella Chamber of the Boston City Council. All those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The council is adjourned. Thank you.